All right, so we just finished our unit on systems of equations, which is usually the hardest unit. And now we're going to move on to transformations, which is one of the easiest units in 8th grade. Some of you have already done transformations before, some of you haven't. It's pretty simple. It's just going to be, you're going to have a graph, and we'll have either a point or a shape on that graph, and we're going to do something to transform it, something to change it. So if we take a look, to transform something is to change it in geometry. There are specific ways to describe how a figure is changed. The transformations that we're going to talk about are going to be translations, reflection, rotation, and dilation. So we'll go through what each of those means and how to do that to a point or a shape on a graph. So today we're just going to talk about translation only. And in order to do that, we've got to talk about how we're going to label things, how we're going to rename our transformations. So originally, when we name shapes, we're going to use capital letters, and you're going to name what shape it is. So if we look, this is a rectangle. So we will call this rectangle, and then A, B, C, D. So this is rectangle A, B, C, D. Once we change it, when we do some type of transformation to it and we move it, then we name the transform shapes using the same letters with a prime symbol. A prime symbol, and all a prime symbol is it looks like an exponent of 1. It's just a little mark that goes above the letter. So now this new image is called rectangle A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. And that's the way you would say it. You got to say prime after each letter. All right, so this is what we started with, and what you start with is called the pre-image. All right, so if I was you, I would get out a piece of paper, pause the video, get out a piece of paper, and I would write down, I would draw both of the shapes, label them, label this as rectangle A, B, C, D, label this as rectangle A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime, write down that mark, draw a little arrow to that mark, and show that it's called prime. That's a prime symbol. So in these problems, you're going to be given a shape to start with. The starting shape is called the pre-image. Then once we do something to move it or change it, then it's going to be called the image. So you got to make sure you know the difference between those two. The pre-image is the one we start with. Then once we do something to change it, something to move it, then it becomes the image. All right, so let's get into our first one, translations. A translation slides an object in a given direction. The original object and its translation have the same exact shape, the same size, they face the same direction, they look exactly the same. The only difference is that it has been slid. It can slide to the right. They might tell you to slide it down or left or slide it up. They might give you two things to do. They might say, take the shape and slide it to the right 4, down 2. All right. So translations are pretty simple because all we're going to do is look at a graph and we're just going to slide the shape. It's going to give you a set direction, and that's what you're going to follow. You're going to slide the shape. So if we look at some examples of that, translate the parallelogram down 5 units. Now, you got to be careful when you look at your graph because you always want to look and see what they're counting by. And normally each line would be just counting by 1, but on this one you can see that they skipped lines. So if we're up here and it says to translate down 5, you can't just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because they skipped lines. So you got to make sure you do the same thing. So point A is here. If we want to go down 5, that's going to be down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a dot. That is point A prime. Then we can go on to the next one. We have point B. Move that one down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that's B prime. All right, point D. It's got to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we have point D prime. And then lastly, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C prime. So then what you'll notice is we have the exact same shape. It's facing the same direction. It's just been moved down 5. And that's it. That's all you're doing. It'll tell you a direction, and then you just change it based on that direction. All right. Translation is the easiest of the 4. As long as you can count, you can do it. So let's skip ahead some. All right, let's look at these. Another way they can tell you to change it, they might say instead of move up or down or left or right, they might tell you translate the triangle -6 vertically. So what that means is if we're going to move it vertically would be up or down. If it's -6 vertically, that means we're going to go down 6. So we'll just go to each point and we're just going to count. And let's look at the X and Y axis. They're counting by ones on each line. So we can just count down each line. Vertically, -6. So each point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and move it down. Go to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we have the exact same shape. It's just been moved down 6. All right, now there's no letters this time, so there's nothing we have to label. Now let's say if this would have been X, Y, Z, then we would have had to do X prime, Y prime, Z prime. All right, so let's take it this one. Translate the rectangle 5 horizontally. So we're going to go horizontal sideways. If it's +5, then we're going to go just like on the number line. +5 is to the right, negatives are to the left. So if it's +5 horizontally, each of these points is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is where you got to be careful and make sure that you don't count where you start. So you wouldn't go 1, 2, 3. You start, sometimes the easiest thing for some people to do is when they get ready to count, just to start here and go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have the exact same shape. It's just been slid 5 horizontally, 5 to the right. All right, so transformations, you're just going to see what it wants you to count by, see what direction it wants to send you, and you just slide that direction. All right, so now we have a point. We have point A. Translate the pre-image, so the pre-image is point A, and write the coordinates of the image. So in red, it wants us to translate point A, right 3 and down 5. So look at the video, look at point A, pause it, and see where would that point end up if you went right 3 and down 5. And then once you think you know, play the video and we'll see if you're right. So let's see. If you did it correctly, point A is right here, right 3, 1, 2, 3, down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that was point A. Now we have point A prime. All right, let's pause the video, try the one in blue. Translate point A, so go back to point A. Translate it -3 horizontally. So which way would that go? So if you pause the video and if you figured it out, let's look and see. Point A horizontally is sideways. -3 means go to the left. So to the left, 1, 2, 3. So we had A. Now we have A prime in blue. And then in black, try this one. Translate point A, up 1 and right 6. So pause the video, see where you think that would go. And then if you did that, let's find out if you were right. Up 1, over to the right 6. So 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A prime. All right, and that's it. That's all you're going to be working on. It's pretty simple stuff as far as translations go. Your assignment is to watch the video today. Your assignment tomorrow, if you want to go ahead and get started on it, if you go to IXL 8th grade P6 translations, graph the image. So if we click on that, here's an example of what you'll be doing. So if we take a look, it gives us graph the image of, you have point N is at 10:1, so there's point N after your translation 7 units up. And you're just going to go up. You start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it. That's all you're doing. Take it, the point R, translate it 4 units up. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all you're doing. All right. So since this is a pretty simple one, we are going to get this one to a score of 100. So you want all your points for this assignment, you need to get it to a SMART score of 100. So if you want to go ahead and start on this, you can. If you want to wait and do it the day it's due, that's fine. But if you have any questions, email me, come to the Google Meets, and let me know. All right. Good job. Let's see. Pause video.